So, what are some of your most important encounters or favorite memories of working with Maria that relate to her taking a stand?
Well, the whole way we met and everything was interesting because I first knew about her when I read the newspapers about the Glenwood, the finds at Glenwood, where her husband had come home and reported to her what had happened, and she went, dressed in her regalia and went into Governor Ray's office. So I had seen this in the newspaper, and my question was at the time to the students in my classes, why did they rebury those, whatever it was, 23 or 26 Caucasian burials without study and take the so-called Potawatomi Indian maiden princess back to study? I said, those whites were just as interesting. And so I followed her stand in the newspapers, and then in, I think it was 1975, we invited her to participate in our annual, what was then an annual American Indian Symposium. And I was standing in line, and I heard someone in back of me, and she had a very imposing voice and spoke with authority. She was a bit manipulative, but she said to someone behind me, "I'm Maria Pearson, the governor's liaison on American Indian things." And I turned around and I said, "Maria Pearson?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "I'm David Gradwohl, one of the hosts of the symposium, and I'm really glad you're here. But I must tell you, I'm an archaeologist, one of those people you don't like." Well, she laughed and shook my hand and thanked me for inviting her, and we became friends. I think that's what in a way surprised me. The behind this person who was absolutely undaunted and to some degree imposing. Well, she was imposing and to some degree intimidating, if you let people like that intimidate you. But she was really a very warm, loyal, supportive person if you listened to what she had to say. And I would say one of the things I treasure the most in my life also is establishing a personal friendship with her that went beyond our professional working. That's what means the most to me, and the fact that she invited us to family things, and we invited her to family things at our house, and she eventually ended up ritually adopting my wife and me into the Turtle Clan of the Yankton Sioux Nation. Those are things I treasure.
Okay. I think this is going to be our last question. We're going to try and make a timeline for, I'm doing a website and Gabby's doing a paper for our projects. And from what we have kind of gathered is that in order, these are the events that happened. It was Glenwood, Sioux City, Council Bluffs at Lewis Central, and then Ames, Iowa. Are there any other events that we should highlight?
Well, I think those are the main things, the main ones, certainly. And you might want to look at the antecedents, like with the writings of Vine Deloria and Malcolm X and so forth, just in terms of the civil rights movement and her feeling comfortable and having a voice in that. And you might want to also put on her participation in the World Archaeological Conferences and some of the national organizations. If you and or I can figure out all the dates of those particular meetings. She did not have a resume or vita of any extent. I kept trying to get her to do that, but, she kept saying, well, I'm from the oral tradition. But I think those are things, and I think let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones you list are certainly the major ones.
Okay. I think that's it.
Okay, well, I have a request, and that is keep me apprised of how this goes. I'm
Okay.
most interested in your project.
Okay.
If you have any other questions or things you want me to deal with, please don't hesitate to contact me. And so you submit this, at what level do you first submit it?
They go to the district contest on March 18th. Gabby is going to be writing a paper and Anna's going to do a website. So if you don't mind, what I would do when they start getting things developed is to